Jim Carrey called me on the day of the release. Like, I still can't wrap my head around
even that
this.
sentence, Jim Carrey called me.
I know. I still can't quite wrap my head around the fact that this happened.
Okay, so this is where 99 Nights radio, like what is this next chapter, Charlotte? Like, I mean, I can't even imagine what this room means to you, but could you describe it for us? Like, stepping into the studio for the first time, creating this show, promoting the album, this whole new chapter for you.
Yeah, it's truly been so special to be able to work on this very, very special project. When Apple Music first approached me with this idea of me hosting a music show, I was like, first of all, I've never hosted anything before. Like, I don't know, I've never been on that side of like an interview or that side of the process. But I was like, I'm up for the challenge. Like, this is just too special. And I love talking about music and I love listening to music. So I was like, what concept should the show be where it's like, we can tie it to my music, but also like talk about all kinds of different things. And so we came up with 99 Nights Radio, which is basically a show that kind of explores through human connections the music that's had an impact on my life, whether it's talking about music that I listened to growing up with my parents or my closest collaborators or artists that I've worked with. Like, every episode has a different guest and we talk about their influences and our relationship. And for me, like, all of my music has always been so influenced by my relationships. Like, I feel like relationships are just at the heart of every single song that I've ever written. And so talking about those connections and those musical moments and memories and influences was just like such a fun thing to do. And it's definitely also taught me a lot about what you do. Yeah.
There's something about the lead up to the pressing start, you know, like that opening, that adrenaline rush, that like butterflies. Do you get that, you know, the pre-stage jitters? Do you get that in here, in this room?
I get like a bit of a different type of like excitement.
Yeah.
It's like it's different. Like, before going on stage, it's like an adrenaline rush. Like, okay, like trying to focus. Whereas here, it's like, I'm like reading through my notes. Like, it feels like something that takes me back a little bit more to things that I might have been stressed about when I was still in school. Like, just something that feels a little bit more structured in my brain. And it's not something that I'm like used to doing now, to have like all these, like, I kind of live my life and perform in a intuitive way. Whereas this is so new to me that I kind of needed that structure, and so I kind of go over the key points and all that. But it's been super fun and definitely a learning experience on a lot of levels.
We've got to step into the album, because the album, it's coming. And this is such a unique way to promote an album. And I know that, you know, everyone talks about their first album, their debut album. You've got your entire life to work on it. And then the next album comes and you've got to like get to it and get on it and pump out these hits. How are you feeling about the album release, and where is this album finding you? You're such a storyteller. Every album has a story. So what story is this album going to tell you?
So this album, to me, definitely feels like a little diary of a summer where I was going through a lot of different things, and I was using my time in the studio to just escape that reality that was kind of dragging me down in a lot of ways, and trying to encapsulate raw emotions that I was feeling through music. And so that's why we called it 99 Nights. It kind of represents the summer where we collectively, because this album was written with close friends in Montreal, like, it really feels like a collective project, because some of my close friends were very implicated on the creation of this album. But we called it 99 Nights because the DNA of the album was kind of figured out during those 3 months. I mean, so it's like more or less 99 nights, but it's like a
but
summer.
99 Nights sounds,
it just, it sounds like a rounder number.
I think we've already got so many good gems. I mean, from Confetti to 99 Nights to Jim Carrey. I mean, Jim Carrey, it was like a song that the world didn't know we needed, but the song has come. Jim himself has called you.
Yes, that's...
I can't even imagine. So, okay, wait, first of all, where did the song inspiration come from? Like, where does your love for Jim Carrey come from?
So I had always been a fan of Jim Carrey as an actor, as a comedian. Like, I knew that side of him and loved his movies, especially his like more dramatic movies. Like, I'm a huge Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind fan, Truman Show, like all of this, but even like Dumb and Dumber, like all of these movies that had like a huge like impact on my childhood. So I knew that part of Jim Carrey. But the way that we wrote the song is that, as I mentioned before, I was going through a lot of like personal things that summer where we started writing the album. And my producer, Jason, got to the studio one morning and he was like, I feel like we should write a song about the ego. Because he was like, I feel like sometimes, and like I think this applies to everyone, but he was like, our egos are really like holding us back from just like embracing our true selves and showing ourselves in all of our imperfections to the world. And just like, yeah, just owning who we are, and that's when all the doors start opening for us. And I was like, oh, that's such an interesting like subject. Okay, let's try writing a song about this. I relate to this, and I feel like it would be good for me to write about this right now. And he was like, and tonight when you get home, he's like, I want you to watch inspirational videos that Jim Carrey did, because he's like, he has eloquently spoken about these things so many times. He's like, he just nailed those concepts. And I was like, kind of familiar with the like inspirational talks that Jim Carrey had done before, but not like I had never really fallen deep into the vortex. And so that night I went home and I fell into the vortex. Like I just watched
so much Jim
Carrey, inspirational, like the inspirational side of him that I wasn't that familiar with. And I related to everything he was saying, like how our fears are just like holding us back, how we're like scared to show our imperfections and just like embrace. And so the next day we got to the studio and we came up with the like Jim Carrey, will you marry me line, where it's like Jim Carrey, imagining him as like some kind of savior who would help me, you know, free myself from my evil ego. So it's a very playful song. It's like, you know, obviously it's like super fun, but it's also tied to a concept that's really important to me. So Jim Carrey called me on the day of the release. Like I still can't wrap my head around
even that sentence, Jim Carrey called me.
I know. I still can't quite wrap my head around the fact that this happened. And he was so kind, and he was like, I love the song. But the one thing that touched me the most was that he loved the message of the song. And that to me was the most important thing, because it must be weird for someone to have a song that has their name like as the title. And like, especially when it's linked to a very important concept that I hoped that I like encapsulated in my song, that I hoped that I understood correctly what he was saying and kind of interpreted the message in my own ways through my music. But him being like, I love what the song says, I love the song, I was like, this is the biggest compliment I could have ever gotten, you know, for a song that has your name. So
that's so cool. To like be in the creative process, then have it come in reality and have the stamp of approval. You know,
it
like
was just the biggest compliment.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so your favorite Jim Carrey line?
My favorite Jim Carrey line from his
any movie, any movie, or like, I mean, unless there's a speech one, but if there's like an alrighty then.
I mean, I was gonna say that. I mean, alrighty then. And he did, so on the phone, he said alrighty at the end, and I was like, oh, I heard it live. Like, I mean, I'm gonna have to. Well, I love in the Truman Show when he says, and he's like, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Like, that's one that I've been saying to my friends, just like as a joke.
It stays with you.
Yeah, I love it.
With the bangers that you've already put out, what else can we anticipate from this album? I mean, 99 Nights, there's a lot of room in there. There's a lot of nights to explore.
Yeah, a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
The album is just something that's more playful than anything I've done before, but it also holds that nostalgia. Yeah, I guess that like it's kind of a happy sad vibe that is completely aligned with how I was feeling when I wrote the album. So every song is different, but they all have that like bittersweetness to them, and I think that's kind of the one thing that comes to mind when I need to like sum up the album. It's like a bittersweet feeling, but I think it's an album that liberated me from a lot of things and also helped me. It was a very like therapeutic process, but it was also like such a fun, it was the most fun I've ever had in the studio. So it's kind of all of those things together. It just encapsulates how I was feeling at a very specific time in my life. And so I'm just really happy to share it with everyone very soon. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
I mean, we're excited for it. I mean, this show, the Apple show is such an amazing opportunity. I'm just kind of circling back to when you're growing up, you wish you had your favorite artist's iPod. Like you wish you had their playlist. You wish that you had like what, you know, Britney was playing, or like what was influencing her and stuff when she was creating, or whatever it is. And so to give fans this little insider look at your world and the creative process and the songs that you play and what are in your AirPods. Yeah. That is a piece of, it's the best gift to your fans. So I feel like on top of the album, this is like a double bonus. Well, it's been so fun for me to like even like explore these songs. Some of them I had forgotten existed, and I was like, oh. So it was just, an amazing moment of like sharing good music with people I love. And hopefully my fans do get a glimpse at, you know, another side of me and another side of the creative process. But it's been a blessing working on this project. It's been so much fun.
Like the video? Then hit the button, or better yet, drop us a comment. Then check out our latest videos here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button here for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news.